This is about fractions, adding fractions, and getting a common denominator. So a number that can be divided evenly by both denominators is a common denominator. The smallest common denominator is the least common denominator. I want to find a common denominator between 7/15 and 5/12. Now, a common denominator would be to just multiply those two, but that's not the most efficient way to do this or the best way to do this, especially considering that numbers could get very big if we did that. But a 15 is a 3 times a 5, and a 12 is a 2 times a 2 times a 3. Multiply them out and you'll see that's the case. Well, one way to find a common denominator is to write these two numbers above each other. So the 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. And the 15, because it has a 3, I'm going to write it in the same column with the 3. And then I'll write the 5 after it. And my least common denominator is going to be 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. So that is a 4 times a 15 or a 60. Now, 60 is divisible by 15. The answer is 4. And 60 is divisible by 12. The answer is 5. So 60 is indeed divisible by both 12 and 15. Okay, for fraction addition, you have to find the least common denominator and raise all fractions that are to be added to that denominator. Then add the numbers and simplify if needed. Okay, so where we have this picture, I'm going to go to the next slide first and then come back. Two-thirds and 1/4 and 5/6. You can see those across the top, the fractions. Well, if I change 2/3 into 12ths, I can change 1/4 into 12ths and 5/6 into 12ths. In order to add fractions, you have to have the same size slice. You couldn't go, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of pizza, and then tell your 8 children they can each have a piece, because the ones that get the smaller pieces are going to complain about that. So what we're really going to do is we need to make them all the same size in order to add. The way we're going to do that is we're going to multiply by 1. So I'm going to take 2/3 and I'm going to multiply by 1. Because you know that 1 times anything is still that number. It doesn't change the amount of pizza you have. So I'm going to multiply this by a 4 over a 4. Well, isn't 4 over 4 equal to 1? Yes. So now to multiply fractions, you multiply numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So I get 8/12. So that's the arithmetic behind the 8/12. But you can also see the graphical representation there. The other circles work the same way. So on this example, all of the whole numbers we just kept and wrote them down. But I needed to take the 2/3 and multiply it by 1. Because if I multiply by 1, I don't change the amount. So I have 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 4 is 12. For the 1/4, I need a 1 again. But this time, I want a 1 that's going to be 3 over 3, because that will give me the same denominator that I had there. For the last one, 1 is going to be 2 over 2, and again, I'm going to get 12ths. Now we're able to add, and we end up with 10 and 21/12. Notice you only add the numerators, you keep the denominator as 12ths. That's the size of the pizza. I've got 21 that are the size of 12ths. But 21/12 sounds kind of funny. 21/12, That's 12 twelfths plus 9 twelfths. Well, the 12 twelfths is 1. Then the 9 twelfths can be reduced. If I divide both numerator and denominator by 3, we get the 3/4. So the 10 plus the 1 is the 11, and then there's the 3/4.